Hey Fixers, and welcome to this video where I want to show you real quick how to join specific list elements in Python. So say you have a list like this. I already prepared the list, consisting of 5 elements, 5 string elements, and the first element being hello with an empty space. Then we have by, world, a question mark and an exclamation mark, and now we want to join some specific elements from this list. So we don't want to join the whole list, because if you want to join the whole list you can use the join function on the empty string, for example, as a delimiter, which will then produce a string that concatenates all strings in the list. But we want to join specific elements. How do we do this? And we have basically 4 methods, and I will discuss all of these methods because then you will learn about different important Python concepts like indexing, slicing, item getter method, join function, list comprehension. So you will, by studying these small problems, you will become a better coder overall. So let's dive right into the first method. So the first method, say you want to join the first element of the list, the third element, and the fifth element in the list. Then, of course, this is the simplest way you can use string concatenation and using simple indexing. So this method is not so efficient because strings in Python are immutable, which means that if you create a new string, so you don't modify existing strings, if you use the plus operator one time, you create a new string in the process. Okay, so by concatenating 2 strings, you basically create a third string, which is then the concatenation of both, and then you create a fourth string, which is a concatenation of the next 2 strings using the next add operation and so on. Okay, so in general this is not the most efficient way of concatenating strings in Python, and also it works if you just need to access, if you want to concatenate 3 elements, in this example. But if you say you want to concatenate 100 elements following a certain pattern, then this won't be the most efficient way. Okay, but still, nonetheless, it works. So if you concatenate these 3 list elements, you get the result hello world with an exclamation mark in the end, which is the first method you can use. Okay, so let's write method 1. It's based on manual concatenation. Okay, but what if there's a pattern to it? So say you want to concatenate every other element in a certain list, so every second element, for example. Then, of course, we use print function to print it to the shell. Then you can use slicing to access every second element, every other element, and we use this default start index, default stop index, and step size 2. So default start and stop index means that we slice from the left to the right, all the way to the right. We use all, so we carve out a substring, which is all substring. So we go from the left to the right, subsequence from the list, and we use only every other element. So we start with the first element, which is this string hello. Then we take the third one, world. Then we take the fifth one, exclamation mark. So in this case, this second method 2, would work. So this way you can access a subsequence, but now you don't want to have the subsequence, because this would just give you a list. Yeah, so it would just give you a list of the correct elements. So you still need to join them or concatenate them, and for this you can use the join method. It's a method. It's not a function. It's a method on the string object. Okay, so you have an empty string as a basic object on which you call this function. And this is the delimiter string, and this string is then placed in between all the individual elements that you want to glue together to a larger element, to a complete string. And so you glue together some elements. Which elements? The ones you select in this slice. Okay, so every other element. And this way, by using this method, you obtain exactly the same string hello world, with the advantage that it is more efficient, because you don't have this repeated concatenation operation which creates a new string and a new string and a new string. So it is like one operation that creates it in one batch only, so you have much less memory overhead in this method. And also it means that you have less typing, even to access 3 elements. It is a shorter method, so more concise way of doing it. But if you want to access 100 elements, it's no problem with slicing and the join method, but it is a problem if you have to manually type it. So this second method is already much better. Okay, so but then there are of course other methods as well. So the problem here is that it is not very specific. So if you want to access, so say you have a sequence with 100 elements and you want to access the first one, the 33, the element with index 33, and then the element with index 99 or so, then slicing doesn't help. So this slicing operation, it only helps if you have a regular access pattern of the indices. Okay. So but what can you do if you just have some indices? Say in a list you have some indices that you want to access, but there's no pattern. Something, it's just specific indices. Then you can use the following method. So first you import the operator module and item getter function, and then you can simply print directly the result. The result is, again, you use the join method. So now the join method needs an iterable as input of elements, of string elements that you want to concatenate. So of course you want to have all elements here that you request. Okay, and here you create an item getter function dynamically that gets the elements with index 0, 2 and 4. Okay, so this part here creates a new function. So dynamically the return value of, when calling this function, the return value is a new function that gives you the elements with index 0, 2 and 4. And now, as I said, this is a function, so you can pass some elements into this function, and you simply pass the list of your original list. You pass it into your function, and now this item getter function, the return value of this part, simply gives you back the elements 0, 2, and 4. So if you have an iterable as return value of 3 elements, the element hello, the element world, and the element exclamation mark, and then you join them together as you did in this slicing method. So this is much more powerful because you don't really care. You can also pass like many elements here. You can even unpack a whole list into this. It's very flexible. You can access arbitrary arguments. It doesn't have to be a slice or so. It doesn't have to be regular, so it can be highly irregular. So this is the best method if you want to access individual concatenate individual elements, and the elements can be anything really. Okay, so this also works. All of them have the same output. Each method has its own strengths and weaknesses, and a good Python coder will immediately grasp the differences and spot the methods to obtain the one that is most suitable for a given problem. Okay, and the last method is actually my preferred method because I don't like to import things. I don't like to import the like item getter function. And also it's kind of, I think it's not so readable, so it could be more readable. It's not the best way of defining it. So you can also use the same method. So again, we use join on the empty string, and we print everything directly in a Python one-liner, and then we create a list of elements. Okay, so these elements we want to join, and we use list comprehension consisting of a statement, expression, list I. So we access the from our original list the ith element and put it into our newly created list. And now we only need to define the context. So for I in 0, 2 and 4. Okay, so this part here creates a new list of elements. Which elements? Some list elements, the list elements with index I, and now index I takes on the value 0, 2 and 4, and you place all of them into a new list and join them together. And these are basically, what are these items? The first one is hello with an empty space, the second one is world, the third one is exclamation mark. So this works beautifully. It's also quite concise, and it doesn't require any external library. So if you execute this, you see the result is also hello world with exclamation mark, so it's all the same. And an interesting thing here is that you can also like remove the outer expression, because you don't really have to create a list. You can also use a generator expression here without putting it into the square bracket. So you don't need to create a list object of the elements you want to join together. Yeah, so you don't really care. You just want to have the elements so that you can join them together. So you can also create an iterable, and you can create an iterable by just using this generator expression. It's exactly the same syntax as list comprehension, but without the outer square bracket. And if you put it if an iterable is required in a function argument or so, you can also use it directly. You don't have to catch it in the square bracket to create a list or so. So you can just pass it directly into the function, into the method, the join method. Okay, so all of those methods are so produce the same output in our example, but they have different strengths and weaknesses. And so my preferred method is this one because it's most powerful. It works for arbitrary specific indices, so you can really put in, you can have any index list here. You can have any specific indices. That doesn't have to be a pattern. Now, I mean, there is a pattern. You can see a pattern here in this specific example 0, 2, 4, but in general, it's not required that there is a pattern. Okay, so if you are interested in like learning all about Python one-liners, the power of a single line of code, then check out my book Python One-Liners. It appears in 2020. It already sold many thousands of copies, and it's very popular. And I hope that I have created like my best book. So we have written at Thinkster, we have written maybe 8 books. I think we have already published, but definitely, I mean, the Python one-liner book is one of the highest quality book because we have many iterations. We have spent hundreds of hours refining the book and improving the book, and it's really good quality now. Okay, so thanks for listening to this video. Check out the book Python One-Liners and see you in the next video. Bye.